Yo, 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 welcome to another Tuesday night at 9. Prototype Dad on the docket. Man, tonight we got an extension, a continuation from last week's episode. Just trying to make sure everybody gets fully rounded, man, in times of absolute need and trying to prepare the world, trying to prepare fellow men on how to, get ready for what could possibly be the worst and things we know. And I think it's actually a dying skill set. It's dying knowledge out here on how to do some of these things. And man, I just want to push the needle to try to get us on the right path and learning these skills. So I want to welcome we got Lee for Scales as usual, and Tie Dye Tom back in the building. He's basically a regular cast member at this point. You know what I mean? But today is definitely one of his specialties. Want to bring Lynn on. What's going on, guy? Welcome,
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, man. How y'all fellas doing tonight?
man. Trying to make this thing pop off. So tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about fishing and foraging, and how to get started out there in the water. Some things we need to know, and maybe how to get some things off the ground as well. What to stay away from, what to get, what's safe, what's not safe, that kind of stuff, and trying to survive and hunting on our survival skills. You know what I mean? So I mean, I kind of want to start off with the foraging first, and kind of say like what's some like first off do's and don'ts when it comes to like getting some things done. I mean, not get some like what's some do's and don'ts, like what to look for. Is it like the 3 leaf thing? Is this poison ivy? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we even start to even like know what's poisonous and what's edible?
There's a lot of resources out there. There's books every area you live in. Pennsylvania, you could get one for Western Pennsylvania, even, or you can get them for all of North America. There's lots and lots of resources out there. Internet's a great resource. There's Facebook groups all over the place. A lot of good information there. Um, I started with a field guide. I started with just the drawings. I forage mainly mushrooms. I eat them all the time. I love them. And so I started with a book, a field guide, and there's a saying, everything's edible at least one time. So if you don't know what it is, don't eat it. That's the number one rule. If you don't know what it is, don't eat it. If you cannot make an identification, some old timers taught me the little nip and spit, and you kind of taste, different tastes. And I don't do any of that. If I can't identify it, I won't eat it. I started with mushrooms, and fungus is it's great meal. Fungus is actually more like human than it is plant. It actually breathes oxygen and releases carbon dioxide, just like humans do. Plants do the opposite, right? They breathe in carbon dioxide, release oxygen. Um, everywhere you step, there's grass or dirt or soil or sand. there's mycelium in that ground. And that is the actual fungus itself. What we're picking is just the fruit body, just the fruit, and a reproductive organ, if you will, because it drops the spores and that's how it spreads. But there's a lot of great mushrooms out there. Morel mushrooms, a lot of gourmet mushrooms. I get $35 a pound for my morel mushrooms, and there's even bigger ones, lots of medicinal uses too. I've been getting more into the medicinal side of things too, learning all that stuff. That's just not food. I think there's a cure for everything in nature. And pharmaceutical companies prove that because they got teams of researchers in every jungle in the world looking for new things. We're finding new plants every day, new fungus species, new animals, new fish, everything. It's quite amazing. And I do believe that there's a cure for everything. And, it is a lost art. I really do believe, when I tell people I forage, people look at me like, I'd like, I'd want to do that. It sounds fun, stuff, but like, it's not something people do. And
That's what I was telling you last week, though.
yeah. So
You know,
I fell in love with it. I don't know. I just fell in love with finding mushrooms, identifying them, cooking them up, making them delicious. There's oyster mushrooms. Pennsylvania's got crazy amounts of edible mushrooms all year round. I can go out there right now, and there's stuff out there. There's winter oysters out there. Turkey tails, they have like good medicinal uses, antibacterial, antifungal stuff. Lion's mane. Lion's mane is one of the best things you could take as a neurotropic. It's in most neurotropic drugs. You can get mushroom mixes that have different, cordyceps and.
what you mean neurotropic? I actually started taking some of the lion's mane.
Yeah,
I've been on this journey
memory.
of yeah,
Memory. It's good for focus.
right.
It helps open like pathways. It doesn't open pathways, so to speak, but it actually helps facilitate the connections of those pathways better.
But you're not just gonna find lion's mane in the woods.
I've found it before.
You have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's out there. It's in Western PA. It's a lot. It's pretty much everywhere. I mean, there's every medicinal reishi, chaga. I mean, it's everywhere, man. We live in a great climate. We're very blessed to be part of this where we're at because
Where are you at?
outdoors wise, I mean, it's really an anomaly. We have so much public land. We have so much open wild space and it's not desert and it's not tundra and it's not a jungle where you can't really get through it. So our ecosystem here is amazing. I really do believe it, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. I'm outside as much as possible. Like I was telling you, I take vacation just to go forage. And like literally in May, first week of May, I'm going to be in the woods for 10 days straight, camping out, putting in 10, 20-mile days, just killing it.
We probably need to put that trip together, like a prototype dad.
And I'll make like $3,000 in that week. You know what I mean? Like we're legit. Like that's why I started it. There's stuff like ginseng too. I actually kind of started to look for ginseng, but that's like Appalachian gold, boy. People die over that shit. Like these hillbillies ain't playing, man, because they planted this stuff and it's got to be mature. So it's got to be like 7 years old before you could harvest it. So it has to be done right, man. And so like I'm finding it, but I'm just looking at it right now. I haven't harvested any because I don't want to cause any price. Might be somebody's land. You know what I mean? They might have 20 years into this patch. Like, and I'm not trying to get shot over a plant. So, you know what I mean? So, but ginseng's big money, man.
What's that look like? What's ginseng look like?
It's a root. So it's like it kind of looks like poison ivy a little bit. It has like broad leaves, like 3s and 5s. And it'll have berries. It'll have red berries on the top. And if it doesn't have red berries, you're not allowed to legally pick it in Pennsylvania. So the red berries are kind of the dead giveaway.
Is it the red berries that look like the snake? What is it? The snake berries or whatever?
They're like bunches. So it's like kind of looks like a mini pomegranate or something. Like it's like a bouquet, but there's just there'll be like 20 of them all grouped together on the top of these plants. It's like a bud, like a flower bud, but there's a bunch of the berries on the top. And if you pick one plant, you should plant the berries. Always plant the berries. So I was grabbing berries off of plants and planting them, and in 7 years I could turn that into like 10 grand for real. Like it's big, crazy money. There's people making 100 grand a year just in woods with ginseng. I just, I don't have a mentor for that. So I'm kind of learning on my own. So it's going to be a lot slower, but, yeah, I mean, but there's, that's just one, and that's just the money side of it, really. There's so much in the woods. I mean, like mulin's like good for a cough suppressant. A lot of this stuff is like Native Americans we've been using for thousands of years, right? Think about how many native tribes were in this area, and those things are still there. We just lost it. We just lost our way because we have grocery stores. We can go buy all this stuff. We don't need to do these things anymore. So it became a way of the past. And, I know people that make, they don't take any antibiotics. They don't take any medicines. They get it all from nature. And I think I don't know, if I get pneumonia, I'm taking I'm taking penicillin or whatever they give me. I'm not going into the woods. You know what I mean? I'm not that far along, but I do believe that there's healing powers out there. I mean, if you just look at our ecosystem, right, through the winter, everything's starving. All these animals are starving. The very first plants to grow are super nutrient dense. They got tons of vitamins and nutrients in them. So these animals need that. It's like nature
What are the first kind of plants to grow?
Like crocuses, right? It's a flower, tons of vitamin C. Dandelions, tons of vitamin C. Japanese knotwood, like just all the early plants, everything that grows early. So anything you go out into the woods in April, it's still going to be pretty barren, and they're starting to grow. Things are starting to grow. All of those plants, I already know, have crazy nutrient dense. It's by design, by nature, right? It's these animals need these things, so that's what grows, and that's how it looks to me. It's all harmonious.
So if can I make it? Could a rule of thumb is if a deer eat it, I can eat it.
I'm not sure about that, but like most flowers, you can eat. Um, like people make dandelion salads, like old Italian women will make dandelion green salads. And, I found collards, I found chard, I found everything out in the woods, man. Everything's out there growing wild. It's just a lost art. We just grow gardens now. We grow, farms. We don't need it anymore. So, tobacco used to grow wild. I mean, marijuana, hemp grows wild. I mean, it's, everything's out there. You just got to find it. Apples. How many different types of fruit plants do we have in this area? I mean, there's like 6,000 types of. There was at one point like 6,000 types of apple trees in North America alone. But commercially, only like a dozen of them make sense. So they're all gone. But you might find them in these little old ass orchards that are up in the mountains of West Virginia or Pennsylvania, something, you know what I mean? And, I've walked, there's a few. So morel mushrooms love apples. All right. So when you want to start looking for certain types of plants and certain types of mushrooms, for mushrooms specifically, they like either wood. They are either going to live off of wood, decaying wood, or they're going to live off of shit. Okay. That's what they're going to live off of. Now, so wood lovers are typically the ones we're finding in the woods, right? So morel mushrooms like apples, they like, there's like a whole list of trees that they will grow under. So I'll go walking through the woods and identifying trees. And if I see the certain types of trees, I'll go over to that tree and look in that area. That's how you find the stuff. You got to know where their habitat is, what they like, and now you make a memory of that. And you come back to that spot every year. So every new spot you find, you add to your, collection, So now I run out of time. Like I don't run, I don't run out of area at this point. I run out of time. Like the sun will go down on me. But we find, me and my homie, we've been doing this together for like a decade now. And, we've been starting to really, really start to get on our game for real. So, but like for mushrooms, like there you got to know what you're picking, man. Don't eat anything you find in the woods unless you can identify it. I can't stress that enough. You know, we only have like 2 types of mushrooms in this area that will kill you, but you got to eat a lot of them, and they're going to shut down your kidneys. It's going to be a painful death. You don't want it. But we have a whole lot that will actually make you sick, especially if you don't cook them. There's different way, you know, there's some you have to cook. So actually, if you go back to the dinosaurs, this is pretty interesting. Fungus is the reason why this is a mammal world. They actually found a layer of mushrooms, 3 million, whatever millions of years ago, when all the reptiles, all the dinosaurs got wiped out. We went into an ice age. After the thaw, the very first thing that grew was fungus. Mammals can eat fungus because we have our body temperature is 98.6 degrees, and like 96 degrees is when most toxins and fungus die. So reptiles, they're cold-blooded. They couldn't eat the fungus, and that's why it is actually a mammal-controlled world, and it has been for millions of years at this point. And it's all because of fungus, man. It's pretty crazy.
Hey, that's an interesting point.
And on top of that, the mycelium that's in the ground actually helps the trees communicate with each other. So they'll actually transfer nutrients. So if there's a stand of sycamore trees and one's dying or one needs help and doesn't have the right nutrients, they'll send the nutrients to those trees through the mycelium. It's pretty wild, man, what's going on in nature that people don't see.
You knew that, Leifer?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, mycelium and
that sounds like Avatar. You know,
it does. Maybe that's where they get it from. I mean, because you got a garden, so like I'm thinking that these things should be like popping up to you. Like, yeah, that makes sense. This like you should be confirming this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, as far as like, you know what I mean, when you're talking about the weeds and those wildflowers and things like that are super nutritious, you know, I definitely knew that. Like I've been, you know, grinding on dandelions and those things for years now because, you know, I think somebody had told me, I can't remember where they told me, it's like because of the amount of stress that those wildflowers and things have gone through the years, they have learned to be able to pull the nutrients up from the root into the actual leaves, which make them more nutritious. And those domesticated, you know, crops and things that we're planting, they become so reliant on us to give them the nutrients that they are less nutritious than those wildflowers. So
right.
Now, whether or not that's the whole truth, that was the summation that I got from.
I think soil degradation got something to do with that too. You know, our topsoils is going away, and it's a big problem. Like down in South America, because they're burning the land. It's mostly sand down there. They have a very sandy soil, and they're burning the land, so it's not really. And then they got to come in and fertilize. That's why farms every year we got to fertilize all of our crops. Because the soil degradation, because we're, you know, monocrop cultures, you know, you're pulling all the nutrients you need, you have. So, but a wild plant, they're only pulling certain things, and we're not planting, you know, rows and rows. They're not planting rows and rows of, you know, wild, you know, mountain laurel or whatever, you know what I mean? So you know, it's, and then other plants will take over and they'll put nutrients back in. But farming itself is very bad because of the soil depletion that's happening with it. So that's going to be a big issue moving forward. We better figure something out.
So when it comes to like leaves, why can I, in a time of apocalypse, right? And I'm in the woods or we doing whatever we doing trying to survive. Why can't I just go chewing the closest leaf near me? Like, oh, there's a tree. The leaf is green. I know it's not dead. Can I eat that?
Most of it's just fiber, I guess. Like a lot of it won't be nutrient dense. So you can't just so deer have different digestive systems than us, so they can eat a lot more harsh things, right? That, you know, so the best bet is just literally start learning your area and what is edible and what isn't. Like tuber plants are typically are okay. So if it's like a potato or any type of tuber plant, like those are typically edible. But leaf plants, like you don't get a whole lot of nutrition out of leaves. Like lettuce, think about lettuce. There's like no calories in lettuce, right? It's just a filler. So the nutrients are typically in the fruit or the vegetable itself or the flower, the buds, whatever that plant is producing. So the acorns or, acorns and all the nuts on all those trees we can eat, right? All that, you have to prepare it right, but we can eat it, and so you just don't want to go out and eat some maple leaves, because it's really doesn't have a whole lot of nutritional value that I know of. I could be completely off on that, but as far as I know, there's not a whole lot of value in those plants themselves. Like you need the fruits, the vegetables, the tubers, the roots, and you need to be able to utilize all that if you're going to be living out in the woods and in an apocalypse. I mean, because wild game's going to go first, right? I mean, we better hope the majority of the people get wiped out so the food stays. I mean, and that's being real. Like, because if 90% of people survive this apocalypse and we got 90% of the people out, we got,
in the woods,
like 300 million people competing for food, it's going to get bad.
Yeah.
People going to be eating people.
Hunger Games.
What about like insects and stuff like that?
Yeah, most insects are good. If you have a shellfish allergy, don't eat any cockroaches. But crickets, all that stuff, that's all protein. You're gonna have to eat grubs. You're gonna have to eat worms. You're gonna have to eat all that stuff. If you want to live, you need protein. And there's not a lot of protein in plants. So
Hakuna Matata.
Larvae, and there's most bugs are edible. And honestly, America's kind of the only. You go to South Asia, you go to Asia, they got every bug on a stick you can name. That's like delicacy over there, So, yeah, bugs you can eat. I don't eat them. I ain't trying to eat them, but I'd rather.
Yeah, there's a new wave like of like bug flowers. So they've been like drying the insects out. Like when I was in grad school, they had this whole. Somebody did this whole thesis project on like cricket flower. And the sustainability of it and how healthy it was, and
it has
she ended up making cricket cakes and cricket cookies and all kind of stuff. It was pretty dope. It wasn't horrible. And then they did like some chocolate covered. I can't remember what kind of insect it was, whether it was an ant or if it was chocolate covered crickets or if it was something else. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty nutritious. You know what I mean? And as long as you crisp it up nice, it's almost like a little snack chip.
It don't taste bad.
Sprinkle some soda on it.
I've had the chocolate covered bugs before, but I've never done like the sauteed ones or anything like that. I ain't, I don't want to eat grubs and all that.
I don't even know if I got a sound effect for what's going on with me right now. Like, I don't got one for how I'm feeling right now.
I had some like chili spiced mealworms, and it tasted like popcorn, man. No lie.
Well, what they said about crickets, they have it's like 10 times per pound of crickets to pound of beef. It's like 10 times the protein.
Yeah, a lot of insects are
protein. Yeah, so you can live off bugs for real. I'd rather put them on a hook and catch a fish personally, but even then. You got to think about it. If you're in Pittsburgh, you can only eat so many fish out the river per month, or before you get like heavy metal poisons, toxic blood stuff happening. So that's an issue too. I mean, as time would go on and we wouldn't have industrial stuff, maybe the rivers would get cleaner and that would get lessened. But right now, you can't eat but one catfish a month out the Mon. So
way to segue, Tom. So I mean, I know absolutely nothing about fishing, like nothing.
Really?
Nothing. Like I went fishing. I was in the Boy Scouts, and there was a Boy Scouts where we grew up at, and they took us camping or whatever. And all I wanted to do was play football. We out camping, and I'm like, hey, y'all want to play football? Y'all want to play free for all? Like they're like, dog, we're out here to like fish and like forage, and I'm like, look. There's a field here. Can we play football? I only remember them kids though, because I only remember them from the Boy Scouts, but they wasn't like a normal group of kids we hung out with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I was too poor for that stuff, so I didn't do any Boy Scouts.
well, I mean, we did have one in Swissville for sure, but
yeah,
yeah,
I remember.
we went.
I think it was in Edgewood.
Yep.
I think the
No,
Boy Scouts
well-
was in Edgewood.
Well, we didn't. Like, we would meet up at the people's. No, it was in Swissville. It was
I
in.
remember Kurt. Yeah, Kurt went to the one in Swissville.
Yeah,
It-
well, because I was in with Kurt and I can't
Jeff?
remember his name now, and I can't remember. I was in with Kurt and a couple other kids from school, and we went. Our troop was in Edgewood.
Yeah, you know what? He lived next to Edgewood School back then, so it probably was Edgewood. So.
Well, the one I was going to was in Swissville, and I think it was like across the street from it was across the street from the Dairy Mart. But that, I mean, that's where we had it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not where the music store is, but it was like a build. I don't know. It was in Swissville somewhere over there. You know what I mean? But then we would go to like some of the scout dudes' houses that do our little projects and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? For our age group.
I think you went to an unsanctioned troop, dog. I don't know if that troop was sanctioned.
It was
I feel
straight.
Like I feel like our troop was in Edgewood because I used to have to walk to those meetings. So
It might have been. I don't know. Wherever. I know they took us.
I can't remember. What was his last name? Was like Samarini or something like that. What I can't remember his first name because he used to live over there by Edgewood, right off of Swissville Boulevard or whatever. And I used to walk to his house because it was like close to the church in Edgewood, where the Boy Scouts out. Walk to his house and then we'd go the rest of the way. But I can't remember his first name for nothing. But yeah, him.
I know another dude lived over there, like near Swisshound Park, in those townhouses over there. And then somebody else lived in Rankin, like, you know what I'm saying. So, but it was like the dude that lived in Rankin. I was like, you live in Rankin? He didn't look like he belonged in Rankin, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, so it was just one of those things. But yeah, like, so that was the first and last time I ever went fishing is when we went camping, and I caught a little fish, and he was like, "Yeah, you gonna eat it?" I'm like, "No, nah." Like, you know what I'm saying? So I just never had a feel for it.
So you never even
since.
cleaned a fish before that?
No, I never even cleaned a fish. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about is getting started, hooking the bait. Like, you know what I'm saying? Do I stick the needle down the worm's throat? Like, you know what I mean? Or how do I even go through this process of getting out there in the water and catching something? Because I really just don't have none of it. Which my grandfather would be like rolling over in his grave if he, you know what I'm saying, if he knew this.
First thing you need to do is learn how to tie knots. So you should have paid attention in the Boy Scouts. They do teach you that. So you got to be able to tie a fisherman's knot to tie your hook on, right? And then you just get the damn worm on there. There ain't no right or wrong way, you know. Just make sure it's secure on there, right? Don't put a giant worm.
Tie a knot on the worm. Make them a knot too.
No, you just hook them on. You put it through the body. Put it like I loop it through like 3 times. That way, if you get a nibble, it might only take a piece of it. You know what I mean? I try to hook it through like 3 times. That's what I do. Just you want to make sure the bait stays on the hook, because if you throw a hook in the water, you're just, you know, what are you doing? You know, so and just patience. Honestly, fishing's about patience, man. If you ain't got patience, forget about it, because you can sit there all day and not get a nibble. But
so is it like a low level? It's a good. I mean, if it's about patience and not much, it's not about really a certain energy, right? So that's a good way to kind of eat, because you're not like, if you're starving for food, you're not going to have that much energy. And chopping down coconut trees would be my first go-to. But
I'm gonna have what do they call it? I forget what they call it, like a static line. I'm gonna be tying trees, you know, to poles all over the bank. I'm gonna have 100 lines in the water. I'm just gonna come by every hour and check them. You know what I mean? If you're really trying to fish for food and you ain't got nets are you're really, you know, that's what you really want. But if you ain't got nets, I literally would have, you know, 30 lines in the water, because, you know, if you need to eat, you need the food, you got to catch fish. And, you know, they're not always going to be in the same spot. There are spots they like to frequent. You know, you start to learn. I mean, with fish finders, it's so damn easy now. I mean, if you're on a boat with a fish finder, you're not, that's fishing for real. Like if you're on the shore, you're kind of just hoping, you know what I mean? That's the truth. Like you got to hope that they're there. You don't know that they're there, but with fish finders technology, man, it makes it pretty easy to fish. Um, yeah, I mean, I have, I don't know, like 10 to 15 rolls of fishing line in my, my preps, because that's going to be short supply, right? So I have hooks, I have all that stuff, and I rotate it out. So I use what I have, for the next year, but then I'll buy new stuff and put it back, so that way it's something I have, because that's something you will need if in case of an emergency, in case, like, I have a lot of stuff. I don't have crazy amounts of stuff. I'm not a super prepper, but these are things you should start thinking about, man. Learning these skills, learn how to fish, learn how to clean a fish. You really need to. I just think as a man, you should know this stuff, even if the society doesn't fall. I think as a man, you should really want to be able to provide. That's like a sense of providing a meal. I don't know if you've ever done it, but it feels good to be able to provide everybody at camp or back at the house that a meal that you've harvested, and there's like a sense of pride to that. And I think every man should feel that at least once in their life. So
Let me touch on this a little bit. So, like fishing to me, I've been fishing my entire life basically. And it's not just that it provides a meal, which is, yes, it's a great provide, we can provide yourself with a meal. But to me, it's an exercise in patience, and it's also a puzzle. It's like a code you have to crack when you're fishing. So there's a lot of different variables that go into how fish act. They're affected by lunar cycles. They're affected by tides if you're fishing in the ocean. They're affected by uh, if it's an overcast day, if it's a sunny day, um, temperature. All that type of stuff is going to determine how you're going to approach the day
yeah,
and what you're going to use during that day in order to be successful. Now, as a person who grew up fishing in Pittsburgh, in the rivers, off the shore, never had a boat, didn't grow up, fishing off boats or anything like that. I kind of appreciate having grown up half of my life that way. And now I live in Florida now, and I fish off boats all the time. I'm
hell
fishing in the
yeah,
ocean, I'm fishing in lakes, and it's a completely different approach. So I feel like a lot of my friends who grew up with boats have no idea how to fish off the shore. They're terrible at it, because like Tom was saying, with fish finders, it's so much easier now. Like these things literally, the technology has come so
yeah.
far that you can literally see a fish swimming on the sonar, where it used to just, you kind of had to know how to read it, or it just kind of looked like a bunch of lines to you. But
Lines,
now you can literally see the silhouette of a fish.
size. You can see the size of them too.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Um, but just to kind of tie it all back to like prototype dad conversation, growing up fishing with my dad, and Lee could attest to this too. It's not just fishing. That time you spend together on the shore, you're out there for hours. So, if you're in the house and you're in the hustle and bustle, there's it's different than when you're sitting on the bank. Even if there's something wrong with you and you didn't talk to him about it, or he doesn't know about it, it's gonna come out on that bank, because you're just sitting there with your thoughts, for a lot of the time. So it's gonna come out while you're down there. So I feel like it helped me create a relationship with my father that's more like friends than father and son. Now, of course, there's a different level of respect, and I can't do certain things with him, or talk to him a certain way without talking to my friends. But I think that our communication level is where it is because of all those hours on the bank.
I agree. It's a bonding. It is. You get camaraderie, man. Even with friends, like if you got good fishing buddies, man,
Yeah.
there's a camaraderie to all that. There's a male bonding that happens with all this stuff. That sports is the same way, right? Like I still got love for you, for you, Kev, because we played ball together, right? Like you bond over that stuff. It's the same kind of feeling, right? Like he just said, like him and his dad bonded. That's what they did. They bonded on that bank, man. And I see it all the time. You know,
I used to have those Trey moments. What was it? What is it? Trey and Fierce Styles moments.
Man, there was some days where it was scary down there on the bank, man, because my mom would tell him a little something I did before leaving out the door. Now it's just me and him out there alone in the middle of nowhere.
I had to worry about my old man getting too drunk. Once that happened, I just avoided him. Like, I'm gonna go fish over here, Dad. You know what I mean? Like,
Was you that 10-year-old that had to drive home?
I've had to, yeah. Yeah, I remember. Shit, from after practice, actually, one day, my dad was passed out at the bar, and I drove home. It was flashes, so I was 13 at the most. I don't know. It is what
crazy.
it is, man. You know how it is. It's builds character.
So how could I get started in the fishing journey? You know what I mean? Like, what would you tell me as an absolute beginner? Like, go get this, go get that. Like, what would be my fishing list?
First, I would tell you it's fishing, not catching.
Yep.
That's the first thing I would tell you.
Yep.
It's called fishing, not catching. So
why you make that determination?
Oh, I'm just saying, there's gonna be some days. It don't matter how good you are, how long you've been fishing. Some days you
get skunked.
Won't even get a nibble.
Nope. And then there's other days, every third cast, you're catching in a fish. I mean, it like you said, lunar cycles, water temperature, cloudiness of the water, everything. There's so many factors that go into fishing. It's unbelievable. The type of bait. I mean, I've seen 10 guys fishing the same hole, not hitting anything. I throw something different out and I catch it. You know what I mean? You got to adapt. Fishing is about adapting. All right. If something's not working, you got to try something else. Or you're going to keep beating your head against the wall. So
what do I need though? What tools I need?
Like a closed reel, probably. Honestly, I'd probably start with like the Zebco closed reel. Just tie a weight on it, go in your backyard, learn how to cast it. You know what I mean? You should go out with somebody that knows what they're doing to show you all this stuff, because fishermen's knots are a little bit different, but they're strong, good knots, and they won't slip and break. So you want to learn the proper knot, so when you do catch a fish, you don't just pull the damn knot out and you don't got no more fish. So but hooks, small hooks, big hooks catch big fish, small hooks catch small fish. So if you're in the ocean and you're looking for some, a big fish, use a giant hook. But if you're in the Mon, man, don't use unless you're hunting for giant catfish, which I know a lot of friends do, I just use a smaller hook. So, and honestly, the best way to do it would probably go to a pay lake to start, because they're stocked. There's tons of fish in there. When you go to pay lakes, you typically will catch some fish, and it's hard to get people to want to fish when you don't catch anything. I remember with my son, it was kind of a struggle for a while until he started catching fish, and then it was, he loves to fish now. So what he says is it's not, you're not fishing, you're not catching, you're fishing. You really got to have patience. It's got to be something you work at. And if you don't catch any fish, you still got to give it another. You got to keep going back to the drawing board, man. You got to keep going at it. Like if you want to learn something, you're not going to be good at it right away, right? I mean, how many people you pick up anything new and you're just good at it? Very rare, outliers. That's outlier people. So just keep practicing, keep doing it. I go in the backyard, learn how to cast, and then just go go find a pay lake. There's got to be a pay lake near you. I guarantee it.
I mean, it goes down to her. I mean, there's a lake that people tell you not to go to, especially black people. They be like, that lake is haunted. Like the story behind this lake.
Is that Lanier?
Yeah, the story behind the lake is it used to be a black town and they flooded it. You know what I mean? So it's a haunted lake.
That's crazy. What's the name of the lake?
Lake Lanier.
Lake Lanier. I'm gonna look into that shit.
Yeah, but so I know people go fishing up there. I mean, there's plenty of places to go fishing or whatever. People fish in the rivers down here and that kind of stuff, though. So
I bet you there's pay lakes. There's pay lakes everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. But I kind of want to.
If I were you, I'd tell anybody if it's first time going out, go to a pay lake. They're stocked. chances are you're going to catch a fish.
But I need to get like a fishing pole and that kind of stuff.
You got to
right?
buy.
I could get you a check. I could give you a checklist if you want.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, make sure if you need a license in your state, get a license first, because you don't want the game warden coming up on you and fining you for fishing without a license. So that's step one. Step two, get a tackle box, because you need something to keep all your stuff in. 3, I would get either a closed face reel, like Tom said, like a Zepco 202. Those things last forever. Or get a spinning reel, like an open face spinning reel. Just get like a medium. I would get like a medium action rod, which you could pretty much use for anything. Start out using some monofilament line. Probably 12 pounds, probably 10 pounds line. Monofilament is probably versatile enough to do just about anything. Monofilament, that's the fishing line. So there's multiple, there's different types of line. There's monofilament, there's fluorocarbon, there's braid, but the basic, exactly. The basic is just monofilaments.
It's like plastic. It's like
like plastic line, kind of. It's clear. I mean, it comes in some colors too. It comes in green, blue, red. They say red is invisible underwater to fish, so I don't know how true that is, but it was kind of a thing for a while. It's kind of gone away. But I would say those are the 5 things that you would probably need. Make sure you need a license, tackle box, rod, reel, monofilament line. Oh, and my favorite thing is circle hooks. I use circle hooks all the time. The fish don't get them stuck down in the throat. They pretty much get them right in the corner of the mouth every time. And you can use a smaller size hook to catch huge fish. They don't have to be big hooks. You can catch a huge fish on them. And that's probably the 5 things that you would need. And if you're a new person, live bait is probably the best way to go to be successful. So worms, crickets, minnows, those are probably the best things to use. Maggots, mealworms, red worms. It depends on down where you're at, Kevin. It's probably red worms, shiners, and maybe night crawlers. Night crawlers are huge up in Pennsylvania. Fatheads, shiners, crickets.
No, that's dope. So let's talk about this though. If I caught my fish, I don't know how to clean it, nothing. I know I got to cut the guts out some way somehow, but I don't know how to.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
So, not to mean to interrupt, but there's 2 types of fish. Only 2. Fresh fish and every other fish. That's it. And I'm sure Lee could tell you, he's the chef. There's nothing like a fish you caught today and ate today. It's not even the same thing. It's something else. It tastes amazing.
Yeah, nothing better than catching a trout, finding wild ramps, you know what I mean? Foraging the ramps, foraging the mushrooms, throwing it all in a dish. Man, it is the best, dude. It's the best. Oh man, everybody should do it at least once in their life.
You have to have a fresh fish. There's nothing like it.
So good.
So how do tell me about it though? How do I prepare it? Because I mean, this might help me with my phobia of, you go to the restaurants and they got the fish with the eyes on it, and I'm like, I'm not touching that. Like I wouldn't even eat that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if it's fried or not. But if I see the little spiny stuff out of it, and then the head still, I'm not eating that, dog. I'm not. Like, you know what I'm saying? But help me out with this. Like, how do I get over that part? I know people that will eat the eye. I'm good, man.
I think fish heads.
You're tripping. I would say that's probably some of the best way to do it, man. Especially if you're on site and you have your little portable set with you. You know what I mean? And your
river cooking.
Your cooler with your ice and everything, and you got all that, man. You could descale that thing right there. Cut off a little bit of the tail. You know what I mean? And cut the little back fins off. Season it up, throw a little breading on that thing. You cook that thing right there, man. Whole. Just take the guts out. You know what I mean? Cut the stomach open.
Yep.
Take the guts out.
Cut it from the chin to the tail fin.
Yep. Clean all that out.
A real, like a 1/4 inch. You don't want to go in too far because you don't want to hit you don't want to hit any of the intestines or anything. And then you just reach in up underneath of that jaw, pull the damn thing down, just pull them out. So
pull what down? The
intestines, the esophagus that comes down, right? You hook around it, you rip it straight down. Some people cut it. It's just faster for me to do it when I pull it out. I'm mostly trout. I don't really eat a lot of fish up here. I'm not eating catfish and shit. I'll eat trout. So you know,
get that
small
river carp.
incision.
Catfish don't got scales, right? There's right.
No, catfish have skin. So like with a catfish, what most people do is get a piece of wood or a tree, nail it to a tree, get a pair of pliers, and you literally just peel his skin back, just like a
Yeah.
pair of pants, like taking a pair of pants off. It comes off all in one piece.
I'm not. I don't eat catfish. I don't. Yeah, but
I wouldn't eat catfish out the river in Pittsburgh anyway.
Nah, I like
Uh,
catfish, but not
I
long.
mean, a rule that
wow.
I live by, and it's just this is purely not from a survival standpoint. This is purely from a taste standpoint. Is
Tastes like dirt.
fish that eat fish taste better.
Yep.
So if you eat fish that eat bugs and moss and algae, and they're going to taste like what they eat. So if you eat fish that only eat other fish, then that's what they're going to just have a better taste.
All animals are that way. Like bears, you could get black bear in the spring or in the fall that's been eating blueberries, and their fat will be purple. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So it'll actually have a blueberry taste to it. So, but if they're eating nothing but salmon, they're going to taste like shit. You know, you don't want to eat that fucking fish because they're eating rotten salmon. You know what I mean? So
Wait, say that again. If what?
I
Fish
said,
will-
so bear will eat
oh,
blueberries.
a bear. Yeah, a bear.
But like if it's you know in Alaska and the salmon runs on or wherever, and they're eating rotten fish, the meat's gonna taste like shit. So whatever you eat, you will. You know, he's right about that, man. You know, carp. I'm not eating garbage fish, man. I mean, catfish is all right. I've had great catfish, but I ain't eating them on catfish. That's for damn sure. So, but I'll eat trout all day. They're stocked. You know what I mean? They ain't even got heavy metals in them because they're not even really from there. Yeah.
So
Cheating.
trout eats other fish.
Yeah. I mean, small fish. They'll eat. You know, they'll eat anything really. I mean, they'll eat bugs. They'll eat. You know, but trout's a good fish. Fish is so good in fat, man, and amino acids, and you know.
So the rule is kind of different then, like because I will only eat an animal that ate grains and stuff. I'm not eating an animal that eats other animals. Like to me, that's my rule of thumb. Like I'm not eating an alligator. I know y'all going
I've had
push back against it's disgusting. It tastes like overcooked chicken, man. Like
Yeah,
it's just it's not my thing. But I typically I'm not going to eat anything that eats another animal. You know what I'm saying?
If you overcook it, it tastes like overcooked chicken. If you cook it right, that thing is nice and tender. So you can't judge it off of one or two places that you went because maybe the cook something.
True.
Because I had some gator tail that was just like melting your mouth like butter. It was just, and it was delicious. I'm getting hungry now. But yeah, I mean, I've had some real good, and then I've had some that was just chewy. Same with calamari. Like I've had some that was just delicious and it melted, and then I've had some that was just chewy.
Yeah, I think the age of it too is you know what I mean. The fresher it is, the better it's going to be too. So, like you know, you might be getting gator meat that's 2-3 months old and it's been frozen. You know, so you know everything could cook. Everything tastes good if you cook it right, man. You know,
I'm good.
I've had beaver. Beaver was, you know, I've had it was fine.
Nah, I know you had a lot of beaver.
You know, elk is the best meat you ever eat. You ever have elk? Elk, I think it's the best meat you could have. I really
I've
do.
had elk.
Like bear,
I've had
too.
bison before. Bison was really good.
Black bear is delicious.
Ostrich. I've had ostrich. It's
Yeah,
really
me too.
beefy. Emu. I've had
Yo,
emu.
so they ostrich though. I don't think I can eat an ostrich. Yo.
Why?
I don't know because they got teeth.
Why you hung up on food, man? Food's food.
I don't know, man. Like the ostrich, you know, ostrich got teeth. Like I don't know. I just
Don't sound like you trying to survive, man.
look, man. I mean, I have to.
Owls
I
got
have
teeth,
to.
too.
Like you know,
Owls got teeth.
I don't know, dog. Like it's a bird. It's a bird with teeth. Like it just throws me. It throws me for a loop, man. And that's a very big bird. Too. Like
A lot of meat.
All the more reason to eat it.
yeah, man. I don't know. I would just be a little bit gross, man. Give me some chicken? Like I'm just used to. I don't know. But I mean, I'm gonna have to change that. Like in this situation,
You're used to prisoners. That's what you're used to.
hey,
Damn things that can't even walk. I mean, factory farming is terrible, man. That's the last shit you should be eating. You should be. I'd rather eat wild food than factory farm food any day. You better be going to Whole Foods and getting free range everything grass fed everything. Because
I'm not bougie.
man,
I am not bougie.
because those chickens are eating shit.
Leela, look at yeah, I'm definitely not bougie where I'll get, you know what I mean?
I'll eat anything.
You're
I ain't
bougie.
scared, but
Yeah.
You're bougie.
Yeah.
Don't ever go to a restaurant with him. Never.
No.
Never go to it. It's never good enough.
I remember we had lunch. He had a
Never.
bunch of questions. We went to lunch that time. I met you out by the airport or whatever.
Wasn't Leland with me? Or
Yeah,
was
it
Mark
was
with
us three.
Yeah.
It was us three. And I was like, damn, why is he asking all these questions? I remember it.
Hey, you know, some things change it. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I mean, in the time of apocalypse, yo, I mean, if an ostrich is running around, look.
It sounded to me like you better hope the fucking nuke hits you, because you ain't gonna survive, man. Because you don't want to eat nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna just turn around and eat this money tree right here. You know what I'm saying? Can I eat that? I can't.
You can eat anything once, you know. It might kill you, but
I don't know. Like, you know, so I'm thinking like, hey, these things is green over here. I got a lemon lime plant over here. Like, you know what I'm saying? I might just eat that up.
Yeah, that's gonna give you diarrhea bad. You know? Those are real waxy. They look like waxy. Them look like waxy leaves. You don't want to eat that at all.
So you don't want to eat waxy leaves. Stay away from the waxy leaves.
Well, I'm just saying those are just for aesthetic, man, and they're really good at, you know, sucking up all the mess out of your air, and you know, all the mess of that air in your house, and cleansing the air. But you don't want to eat them.
Especially a lot of this stuff's tropical plants we got in the house too, right? Like, I don't trust it. I would never eat these plants first. I've been going out in the woods first.
So you wouldn't eat your own all those? You got all those plants, right? The vines and everything. The devil's ivy. Like you wouldn't eat that stuff first?
I don't know if I can or not. So I ain't gonna eat it unless I know. I know it's in the woods. I know I can go find stuff to eat out there. So I'm gonna
that'd be funny as heck. You get like you forage and you go to somebody's crib, like, those are some nice plants. What's for dinner? Like,
I honestly just don't think there'd be nutritional value. I think it'd just like be fucked up your stomach, and that's it. You know, because like lettuce, like there's not a whole lot like kale. Kale is about the only thing. So I think the greener it is, I don't know, man. I've heard different things.
The deep green stuff. You get your kale, your collard, your mustard, your spinach. You know, those deep green. Those are the best, and that's why they always say like stuff like your what's it called? That round lettuce. I can't never remember. Iceberg. They said
there's nothing.
It's like light skin lettuce. You know what I mean? It's very nutrient deficient. You know what I mean? You can eat it. You know what I mean? And it's good.
Person, just nutrient deficient. It just looks good.
You're just eating it for its water content, pretty much. You're not. You know, it doesn't really have a lot of nutrient.
Looks good on the plate, but it won't fill you up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's it. You know, that's it. You take a picture of it, but during the apocalypse, man, you're gonna need you some darker leaves. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, that might be a prototype dad shirt coming. Looks good on the plate, but it won't fill you up.
That's fucking hilarious. That's hilarious.
So man, I just want to kind of go over like about the descaling. Do I take all the scales off the fish or
absolutely
every single one of them? I don't eat one scale.
I don't descale my trout. I cook them whole because there's a lot of bones in it. There's not a big fillet in it, so you kind of got to pick through it. So I typically won't take the scales off my trout, but everything else I do. You know, everything else I've ever cooked, I did. But I was just the way I was taught. So some people scale them. I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I scale everything only because, like, even when I was scaling it, a couple scales I missed, and I end up like choking on it. So like I try to make sure I extra scale to get the stuff.
I burn mine because we're cooking them on an open fire, so like a lot of them get burned up. So
yeah, I filleted it. Like I caught it, took it in the house, like filleted it, and then I seared it on the pan, and then end up choking on it. I was like, oh, this is. I gotta make sure I clean that.
We got open fire, right? We're not taking it to the house because we in the woods.
Well, I'm saying you might have like a cast iron skillet or something that you cook it on, and you know.
Yeah, that's the better way to do it. Like when I go up to Erie to fish a lot with my buddy, walleye and steelhead and lake trout and all that. We'll fillet the shit out of that. But you know what I mean. But a small little brook trout and the rainbows, they're not big enough to really get a big fillet out of. So you know, you
put
get
that
a
on
lot
a
of
stick,
bones, a lot of bones.
rotisserie that.
You got to pick
Yeah,
all
the
anyway.
bigger the fish, you know, the easier it is to dismantle. So
Yeah,
if you cooking a small trout, and especially if you're in a survival situation, trying to fillet it, you're gonna waste a lot of meat.
yeah,
So it's better to just cook it whole and then just slide the meat off the bones.
yeah, because there's bones all through trout, so you got to like kind of when it's cooked, it'll separate real easily. So some fish you could debone, but trout's not one of them because the bones are so fragile, you'll break them all. So it's best to cook it whole, and then, like you said, just slide the meat out of it. And the scales the skin will stay. You know what I mean? Like a salmon. You ever have a salmon and you cooked it? You know what I mean? Like there's a piece of skin on the bottom of the salmon, and you just kind of pick it off. It's kind of the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're out, I mean, if you're in a survival situation, you want to eat that skin too, because that's
Yeah.
where all the omega-3
yeah.
fatty acids are. So,
Yeah.
and that's what keeps you running.
Hearts, livers,
Because you know,
kidneys.
there's some like animals that you can eat, like a rabbit. Say you can eat 10 rabbits a week and still starve because they're so lean
Yeah.
and they have no fat. You need
That's
fat in order to process your nutrients.
you got to
So,
eat the kidneys and the liver and the heart, you know.
right, right.
So you get those organ meats, you get some of that fat, but also if you're only eating meat, you're not getting any vitamin C. You get scurvy. So you need plants too. You know? It's fucked up, you know. So vitamins, actually, you know, vitamins I have stocked up too, because that's, you know, if you're starving to fucking death and you're only eating a little bit of food, you can take a multivitamin and get you through a couple of years, you know. I got stupid shit prepped, like, and I don't have a lot at my house because my plan isn't to stay here. My plan is to get out of the city. So I have a lot of
You know,
stuff
Tom.
going, you know. I'm going to a farm, and that's, well, you know, that's all I'm going to say, because we get put on terrorist watch lists and shit when you talk about stuff like this. No bullshit. I was thinking about giving you guys some resources, and everybody I watched, I look into is like the FBI got him as a domestic terrorist because they're teaching people how to survive on their own.
Yeah, and I was gonna do the same thing.
Here's what I'm gonna test you with, Tom. Everybody kind of has a task, like, I kind of want Leifer to even start his version, but there's a blog portion of our website.
Oh yeah,
and we ain't nobody posted anything yet, but I haven't distributed the task yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I would love to have a corner like Tom's Corner. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be about this kind of stuff, your resources. You know what I'm saying? And Leifer, the same thing. I'll do the same on my part when it comes to like tech and coding, and you know what I'm saying, doing that kind of stuff. I wonder in the apocalypse. I wonder how much I can actually help. You know, with my actual skill set. I mean, I know tech, so it'll have to be some mixture of both. Maybe I need to get with my brother-in-law and figure out how to
like
make
a grizzly bear. You like a grizzly bear. You like
I can fight too.
No,
but
you can wrestle down a bear. Like
trust
you're
me,
useful.
we got purpose for you.
We'll put a spear in your hand.
Would you say go warrior or something?
I mean, the technology is here. Even if there's an apocalypse, we might be, you know, scraping and daisy chaining batteries together, but people are going to still be using computers and stuff. So you'll be needed. You know, we might need to
figure something out.
Solder us motherboard together or something.
Worst case scenario, we'll need them for real. Like if we could rebuild, it's something that we can come back from, and it's not a nuclear holocaust, and you know we're all dead anyway, or a fucking, you know, comet the size of the moon hits us. You know,
I mean, we already determined. The funny thing about it is, Hit-Me's going to be the only one with a woman to repopulate.
That's right. That was funny as fuck. He wants to get bitched at in the apocalypse too.
I mean, he got a point though. Like we're going to have to survive. We're going to have to keep the thing going.
There's plenty of women jobs that, you know what I mean. Foraging that was a woman's job. Like, and you know, the natives, the women foraged. They were the gatherers. The men were the hunters. They were the gatherers.
Yeah, there'll be one woman left. It'll be just like ranking
weaving.
again,
They made the clothes. They also make all the babies, which is important to repopulate the earth. So we do need women. Sure.
That's what I'm saying. He gonna be the one. He gonna be the only one with a woman. We all gonna be like, "Hey, my turn."
You about to get us canceled on here, man. We cannot say
Seriously.
that only women make babies. We cannot say that anymore.
No, because like
You're gonna get us canceled.
I mean, yeah, my bad. Whatever. Don't even get.
No, I just heard something today, and they were like literally going crazy because they were saying something, but I was like, oh yeah.
Maybe it's female.
You'll know what to say now. You'll know what to say now.
Yeah, I saw the picture of this, one of the little things that had a big hoopla recently. It looked like Tom pregnant.
Ooh, that's an ugly bitch.
It was a picture. The beard was strong.
Hey,
It was,
yo,
I don't know what to say.
belly was strong too.
The funny thing is, there will be an aspect of war in this where we won't necessarily be embarrassed because I guess we're speaking from a point of being the have-nots because there will be some haves.
Oh, for sure.
In this apocalypse, and that'll be the other part of cracking the code on how to survive. And you know what I'm saying? Maybe we should talk about that next, like how to attack the 1%. But no, we really get canceled then.
Trying to get us on lists.
Yeah. Because I had like a list of books that I was going to present on here, and I was going to give one. I didn't want to promote anybody's stuff without them. Yeah, well, I didn't want to promote their products and their books without compensation. And then secondly, I didn't know if their book was on any kind of watch list, and I didn't want to, start saying that and promoting it. Then they come back and try to carry me. So I was like, oh well, I'm not. I just won't. I'll just say there's books out there.
Right.
That will teach you how to, survive. They'll teach you how to forage. They'll teach you how to grow food. They'll teach you how to preserve food, canning, and things like that. Teach you how to hunt, and then I'll give you all these basic life skills.
Canning is very important.
Yeah,
preserving food is. It don't matter how much food you got. If you can't preserve it, you can't eat it. You ain't gonna last the winter. Ain't nothing growing up here in the winter. So you need to survive through the winter, and preserving food is huge. Canning
looks like y'all be hitting south.
Tom, do you smoke your trout ever?
I actually just got a smoker, and I will be this spring. I've had smoked trout. I mean, honestly, we cook it on campfires, man. I really love the whole, getting ramps. Ramps are like a wild garlic, right? It's a leek. Some people call them leeks. So you can find they're always up in the spring. That's one of the first things that pop up. My morels, stuff those leeks in the middle of that damn thing and just throw it on the fire. And it's so fucking good. It's hard to explain how good 3 ingredients you put together, and a little bit of butter too, so it don't burn. A little bit of butter too. But it's so fucking good. That's the best way, in my opinion. That's the best way to make it. But trout, like lake trout, we smoked a bunch of lake trout last year because it's a real fatty fish. You don't really want to cook it any other way. So when you smoke fish, you want it to have a high fat content. The higher the fat content, the easier the fish smokes. But I haven't made smoked trout, but I do plan on doing it this spring when I'm gonna bring some home, and because I just got a smoker in the fall and I've been smoking everything, so can't wait for that.
Smoking is huge, man. That's the only way to preserve the meat out there.
And there's a way to cold smoke. All right, my best friend married a Croatian woman, right? And her dad, they're from Croatia. They're like old world people. And he taught me how to do the dry smoke. So you basically build a shack and you have a firebox that's not connected. So you're not actually using the heat. It takes a lot longer, but it's preserved. I mean, it'll last years, and it's good. It's real good, and I'm glad I got to, be involved in the process of learning how to do that too. Because that's like an old world technique that we really don't do anymore. It's mostly just a hardwood smoke that actually the heat of the smoke is actually what cooks the food, and you're getting the internal, like the drum or wherever you're smoking in, up to like 250, 275. Well, this you want to keep it like below 50. So it's just the smoke, and it has to go through all these different chambers before it gets to the main shed. And it was awesome. I was glad that he involved me with it. And like, he makes his own sausage, so I actually like helped him make all his own sausage and everything. It was a lot of great experience. I was really happy that he, and he doesn't speak a lick of English. So, it was cool. Like, we kind of bonded. So like now every time we see each other, we smile because we have that bond. Just, it's
Yeah, I
pretty
bought
cool.
some materials off of a guy here who had a brick smokehouse. Same thing. He had sausages hanging and gator and deer.
Yeah.
And he was a contractor. He's just like, man, I had spare materials. Always wanted to do it. He had a big like steel door on it. It was all brick. It was nice.
Nice.
He just had meat hanging up in there. It's crazy. You don't have to cover it up or anything. Just hanging.
Yeah,
Goes
just
in there,
hanging.
cut
That's
some
it.
off when you want some.
It was a shed. It was just the fucking shed that we walked in, and there's just meat hanging everywhere. There's just this sausage and this deer and this wild pig that they had. Everything. They had all kinds.
Some human they didn't cut up. You know what I'm saying? Sound like this is a bunch of mob dudes.
Maybe, I don't know. You never know.
You said he's Croatian, so he probably got that what is that verbiage? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he don't speak.
Kaiser Sose.
He don't speak much English, so he could be. I don't know. He seemed like a nice guy to me, though.
Yeah, best killers always do, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, listen, they didn't flee for no reason, so there was that Croatian-Bosnian civil war going on, and shit got bad.
They done chop some people up over there.
Yeah, the Croatians ain't no joke. They used to saw people in half slowly.
So I'm gonna do this summary. I don't like to hold you guys for an hour. You know what I'm saying? So summary, right? So mushrooms are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Get used to finding mushrooms. Start practicing now. Looking for what are good ones, lion's manes and morel mushrooms. You mentioned that a lot.
Oysters. Oysters, honey mushrooms.
What kind of nutrition do you get from mushrooms anyway? Like,
there's some proteins in there.
Just gives me the runs.
Yeah, there's some proteins. It's mostly carbohydrates, though.
Okay, it's just energy.
Yeah.
Keep your energy going.
Yeah, high calorie stuff. It's like a vegetable kind of. I'm sure there's some kind of vitamins and stuff, but I'm not up on that, so I couldn't speak accurately.
So, I mean, is there a high chance that we could find like greens and stuff out in the wild? Like, there's a high chance I could like go out and like find some kale here, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I found collards up here. I found mustard greens. I found just about every type of green you could find around here.
Okay, so that's cool.
Yeah.
What you say, ginseng? Is that what you said? The ginseng is like gold?
Fruit. Yeah, we actually, Western Pennsylvania has the highest concentration in the world of ginseng, so that's why it's Appalachian gold.
You keep making it seem like Western PA is a good place to be in the apocalypse.
It's amazing. Where you want to be, man.
Western PA is dope. Like, and if I just say Swissvale specifically, like we have whole foraging like missions that we do in the summer around Swissvale, like for mulberries, because they grow all around all the alleys and stuff. Service berries, they grow all around. They're harvesting everything. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of fruit trees. There's all kind of berry bushes all around. Cherry trees, like all kinds, all over Swissvale. So if the apocalypse come, Swissvale might be all right. And there's a bunch of deer. So if you really need some meat or something, some deer, to get some squirrel.
River.
The rabbit.
River.
They got the coyote. Yeah, the river. They got the coyotes that's up in there.
And I guess in those times, like the river might clean itself out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If there's no more industry after a while, you won't have to worry about the heavy metals. I know that stuff does stay, but if it's not being polluted actively, which it still is, not to the level of our parents' time, but it's much cleaner now. I'll swim in the Mon. It's pretty clean. When you start seeing waterfowl like ducks and geese and stuff, you know that the waterway is pretty clean. And we've done a lot of work in Pittsburgh to clean up our waterway.
That's dope that's dope to know. If you see birds in the water,
mm-hmm.
You know,
they're not going to eat those fish. They'll know if those fish are bad. Right?
Yeah.
And they ain't there for no other reason but to eat fish. You even see seagulls and fucking waterfront and shit. Have you seen them? I was like, what the fuck is that, a seagull?
I haven't been home in years.
Yeah. But they're around. So like if you see birds, that's a good indication. And we've done a lot. We really have. We've really cleaned up our city, man. And I'm proud of that, really.
No, that's super dope. That's a good key tip, man. I'm gonna add that to the summary, right? If you see birds eating the fish,
yep,
there's some good fish in there.
Yep.
What was it? You said something like crocuses or something like that?
Yeah, crocus. It's an early flower. It's purple. Daffodils, tulips, all that stuff. Well, you could eat the petals of those things and get vitamins, and that's why if you have, you got deer, they're going to eat all those buds because they need those nutrients. They need those vitamins. It's one of the first things to grow. Like I said, everything that grows early it's nutrient dense, man. And I think it's by design because you got all these starving animals that need to help.
Oh, super dope. What else? Oh, on to the fisherman, right? So what is it? A Zepco clothes reel is a good starter. Is a good starter?
Yeah. Durable, easy to use,
bulletproof,
will last forever.
That's dope. Gotta get one of those. Learn how to do a fisherman's knot.
Yes.
If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. I don't. I might.
I'm sure there's YouTube videos. I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. You know what's crazy? I know how to tie a tie in a million different ways. I used to do something called Tie Tuesday, and I would just like change my knots and like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was a tie junkie for a minute until the pandemic hit. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like I tie retard. I kind of want to get back into it, but where am I going to go?
Get dressed up for the pod.
It's Tuesday. Hey,
look at God.
Look at God. Hey, Tuesday's been a special day, I guess, in my past recent years. I mean, Tuesday must be a day thing. 5 things to kind of get me a fishing license. I mean, that's going to be null and void once it's all, hit the fan. But as of now, get your practice in.
Get your practice in.
Get your practice in. Get you a fishing license. Get you a tackle box. I don't know what to put in it yet, but I'm sure.
Thinkers, bobbers, knife, some hemostats, bait, artificial bait,
artificial lures,
and lures.
For when I get good.
No, I mean, if you're in a survival situation, artificial is gonna be
the go-to.
Because you're gonna spend
you can
time
reuse
and energy looking for bait when you could just keep reusing your artificials. Yeah,
got you.
But snags and shit,
but you could lose them.
And
but if I was in survival mode, I'm gonna swim out and get it.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I'm just reeling it in, walking in, trying to find where it is.
I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I've done that in the streams,
Oh, me too. When you got a $10, $15 lure on, and first cast is in the tree, out on a stick, 20 feet out, I'm getting under.
You're getting that. You're getting that.
Yeah, you got to.
What do you think about fishing off the beaches? I know you do.
I've done it. Yeah.
You do it off the dock, or I mean, straight from the beach, or what's?
I reeled a shark right under a girl on her paddleboard.
Wow, you got shark. The only thing I ever caught in the ocean was skates, but that was
really.
Yeah, tons of them.
Yeah, man. I mean, down here where I live, man, there's such a variety. I mean, Central Florida.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you could almost catch. I mean, there's just about every fish here.
There's so much water down there, man,
and so much water.
It's a fisherman's paradise, man.
Yeah.
So fishing trip. We gonna get this. We gonna do a scavenger foraging trip.
May 1st, meet me in the woods.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna get that together. Then we gonna do a fishing trip. Prototype that. We just gonna do all these survival skills. You know what I'm saying? Make sure this is all productive beyond just
record it.
Just
I had GoPros ready.
Period.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be dope. Yeah, that'll be dope. We got to start planning for that. Probably what is it, 2014? I mean, it's still January.
What's that lake called in Kissimmee we used to go to, Lynn?
Toho.
Yeah, Lake Toho.
It's like
It has
Toho.
some
It's a long yeah, it's a long Native American name.
Yeah. But just if we had good fishing down there, don't go at night because there are alligators.
Yeah, Toho.
We had to learn that the
think
hard
Toho
way.
still has the record for the Bassmasters when they had it there for largest bag. It was like ridiculous, like 60
Alligators
pounds.
Alligators
I
is
kayaked
ruthless,
the
boy.
Wakiva River or something like that.
Yeah, Wakaiva. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
we was fucking alligator. I mean, alligator guard, like crazy fish I never seen. And alligators
there's
fucking right there.
There's alligator guard to get 200 pounds. You know,
Dude,
here
it was
in the
cool.
river.
I was in Paris. I was in heaven for me. I was like, this is just, man. I was like, I can't wait to retire here. That's where I'm coming. I'm right down there with you. 58. I'm moving down. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, in Florida, man, the rule you could catch a fish in the puddle here, man. Guys drop minnows down the sewer and pull a bass out. There's fish everywhere.
Everywhere. And fucking fungus. So much fungus down there. I
It's
went
hot
on a
and wet.
walk and I identified 26 fucking. I went on a 1 mile walk, 26 different things, and 7 of them were hallucinogenic. Florida's a fucking awesome place.
That's why everybody crazy down there.
No taxes, no state taxes, and my pension's gonna be safe, so none of these bitches can sue me. Fuck it, I'm moving to Florida. 100%.
That's why people crazy down there.
It's the last wild frontier.
Yeah, I flew down there. I flew down there in June of the pandemic. I was the only person on the plane.
Florida was wide open during
It
the
was.
pandemic.
I was like, I loved it, man. I didn't want to come back home.
Florida was wide open.
I know what you feel. I kind of feel like that. I feel that way about Texas.
Similar.
Texas dope. Yeah, Texas dope too.
East
I'm
Texas.
out of PA. Fuck this Commonwealth bullshit. As soon as I'm 58, I'm out.
58. You gonna wait that long, dog?
I got a pension, man. I gotta wait. You know.
You can't drive a bus from home. We ain't figured
That
out yet.
situation here is
Pension
bad.
don't transfer.
No, I'm just saying, like you know how they did it in Black Panther, where dude was driving the spacecraft. You know what I'm talking about? You ain't figure out how to drive a bus from the crib. But
I haven't gone to eventually. I probably won't get to 58.
yeah, you're gonna have to get out of there eventually, dog.
Yeah.
But fish that eat other fish are the best tasting fish. I like that one.
Walleye, baby.
Circle hooks.
Yeah, circle hooks are a good idea.
What's it like? I mean, I'm gonna look all this stuff up, but a circle hook, is it just like not a hook? Like it don't have a pointing thing on it, or what is it?
Yeah, no barb.
It still has the point, and they make some barbless and with barb.
Oh, okay.
But your typical old school hook is just in the shape of a J,
Right.
and they're called J hooks. You know, but a circle hook is like probably a 2/3 circle, and the tip of the hook kind of curves back in, so that when it comes out the fish's mouth, when it goes in the fish's mouth, it won't hit any of the other surfaces. It'll come and it'll just grab the lip right on the side.
It's more humane. It's a more humane way to fish.
So they don't get them stuck down in their throat like the J hooks.
Right.
You know, now if you're out survival,
You don't care.
maybe J hooks are a better
Shit, I'm
idea
using
because they'll
treble
never
hooks.
get away. You just
I'm
let them
using
swallow
treble
it.
hooks on everything.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it to eat.
Yeah.
To
You
eat,
use J hooks because you're sport fishing.
I use the circle hooks because I mainly fish catch and release. You know.
Yeah, that's catch and release hook. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little more advanced. Like just to start with J hooks.
And they have a larger gauge. So you know how like wires come in different gauges?
Mm-hmm.
A circle hook can have a higher gauge and a smaller size hook. So I mean you can literally on like a 2/0 J hook catch a 50-pound shark, you know, or 100-pound shark.
Yeah.
I mean on a circle hook, because it'll hit them in the corner of the mouth and their teeth won't get to the line. I'm surprised people don't use them more like on the walleye and stuff up there and like musky fishing and stuff, because you know, their teeth won't hit the line because the hook is just in the corner of
Use
the
lead
mouth.
line. You know, you got to use lead line.
That wire leader.
Yeah, wire leader, lead line, and treble hooks on all the lures. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, we'll even foul hook them and pull them in. You know what I mean? Them
Yeah.
treble hooks are wicked, man.
Yeah.
And we don't care because we're keeping everything up there. You know what I mean? So we're not trying to release. So we're keeping everything up there.
Oh, and I left something off the list too. You need a good knife. You gotta have
that's any survival.
Ideal,
like
a multi-tool with a.
I told y'all about the story last week, right?
Yeah.
I always got a knife on me, so which you should always have a knife on you as well. And Leifer should always have a knife on him as well. Because I think I got all you guys' knives at one point.
I have a Gerber multi-tool that I keep with me all the time. It's like but I do have your knife. It's quite a nice knife. That's why I like rich people.
Yeah, I don't really carry knives anywhere because I've had bad experiences. And I remember Lynn bringing a knife in his backpack after we went fishing on the weekend at school at West, and they searched his backpack and they suspended him. And
Two
since
America's
then,
Most Wanted.
I'm wary of it because I used to have it on my key, like on my key ring, and I used to carry it everywhere. And then certain places I go, I end up having to go through, metal detectors and stuff. So now I don't carry it as often, but I have one in the car. So if I need it, it's close by, but I don't carry it on my person anymore. Probably because my temperament is far more nuttier than you, Kevin. So if I was to have it on me, I might actually use it.
I would agree to that. You're definitely nuttier than me. That's a double. Who said I'm nutty?
He was just saying he's nuttier.
He's definitely nuttier, but he's calling me nutty at the same time, and I would disagree with that.
But
you had this whole conversation of this thing you were talking about last week. That was nutty. That was nutty because I would have just paid the money. I would have paid the $75 right off the rip, and I would have just been done with it.
He's trying to fight the boot man. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's fine. He's all there. Damn, he's a working man too. You just gotta fight him. He's doing his job. It's a shit job, but damn.
Man. Yeah. I think I'm all rap type, but I have my moments. But yeah, man, I appreciate everybody coming on, man. And this was kind of fun. Well, we have fun every week. But nobody was here for the mystery show we had, but that was a good one too. But what we talking about next week? Next week, I really want to have a conversation about how we should interact with law enforcement. A situation just popped up, and I think the art of dealing with law enforcement is just not like people don't know, and the media is so driven by women. I don't want to say this because we don't talk about women over here, but I think they overreact in all these different situations. So I think we just need to have a conversation about how we, how to talk to them, what to do when we encounter them, that kind of stuff. Nothing major, but there's something major to some people. So, but yeah, that was another Prototype Dad, man. Make sure y'all tune back in next week, and appreciate y'all, Doc.
Till next week.
Thanks for having me. Good to see y'all.
All right now.